Anika, how you doing?
Doing great, Lewis. All's
Good,
well.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
And so this is our second talent talk. So there's going to be loads of them, not with me, with everyone in our firm, talking about the different issues going on locally, globally, and all of that. So love this segment. Do you want to kick us off? I know you. There's a lot going on in India. One of the, if
Yeah,
not this, the fastest growing economy on the planet right now. We saw. I think we both
absolutely.
saw a Morgan Stanley video describing it. So exciting times for India. But we were going to talk about toxic work environments, and you were reading something last week. So please share.
Absolutely, Lewis. So there's been a report I was reading last week that has been doing rounds. It's by Harappa and it talks about the Great Indian Resignation. So as soon as we're done with the appraisal cycle, there has been loads of resignations which have come our way. Uh, it has been primarily because of a plethora of factors. The first one and the most critical one being that 58% of people are leaving their current jobs because of a toxic boss. And out of that trickled funnel, 54% people are leaving because of a toxic environment. So
Wow.
definitely that has been the game changer. We talk about our aspirations, how growth is, but people are leaving because of people. So that has
Wow.
been a change.
Well, it's worth repeating that 58% of people in India are leaving a job because of a toxic boss. Wow.
Absolutely.
Not money, not career progression,
No, no,
toxic boss.
yeah.
Humans.
There have been a couple of videos that have come up, which could have not been shared on social media, of toxic bosses in the current scenario, how they behave where there's a team meeting. So, I mean, it's alarming the rate by which people are leaving because of a toxic environment.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, are you surprised or not surprised at that number?
Well, I think I'm not very surprised because it really trickles down. So the bosses who have become toxic right now would have been employees in the past and they've had toxic bosses. So it's like they have been in a high pressure environment where the expectations were not set realistically and they were working in an environment which made them toxic bosses in turn.
I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, it's interesting because if you it's who you learn from, right? Like if you're
True.
learning from someone about this is how a leader should behave, like these are the traits that you should exhibit, these are the behaviors, and there it's all about being, I don't know, mean, tough, what whatever, like just they're like the team is there to serve the leader rather than the leader to lead the team and to serve the team members. um, then yeah, whoever's coming up, they're going to learn, right? And you're going to teach the younger folks coming up that that is how you should behave as a leader. And it's kind of self-perpetuating, isn't it?
Absolutely. Like if a person has poor leadership skills. So, what happened in the past was that we were not investing much in coaching and mentoring programs for our leaders. So, they were not very aware about how a work environment should be. Like, if a person is not very good with decision making, if a person is not very strong with communication within the team, or is really struggling to foster a positive environment because of their own trust issues or because they are not very good with conflict resolution. So, if they are leaders, in turn, it'll be a chaos.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you're coming up and you're like, right, I need to display those behaviors because I want to be that person. That's the role model. And it needs to it needs to change. Now, do you think it's changing in India? Like, is the view of what a good leader looks like starting to change or not?
I think definitely baby steps are there in terms of progress. Everybody is trying to become leaders who lead by example. So I would say, like, leaders are definitely, first of all, investing in good coaching and mentoring programs. They are going to various summits where they can learn more skills, how to create an environment that really helps within the organization. There's an open door policy where employees can openly communicate if they have any biases. I mean, they have faced any biases or
Yeah.
favoritism, bullying in the organization. Also, I think with the promotion of diversity and inclusion, there has been a more realistic organization framework, so to say. In the past,
Right.
it was more about who I like in the organization. Now it's changing to who really deserves. So I read somewhere recently that, if you let the people who are good go because of the people you like, then your organization will go nowhere. So
Absolutely.
that's what I think has been changing. There are definitely baby steps when it comes to creating that environment, but I think there is some progress.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So, because India's always been quite hierarchical, hasn't it, in the way that the companies are structured? Is then that slowly starting to change now? Well, yeah,
Yes, absolutely. You're right. In terms of the hierarchical structure, the hierarchy that we had in the past, it's becoming more like a flat organization. If you see in India, we have more young people coming in, uh, the workforce. So definitely there has been a change. New age startups are coming up, so that really changes culture. They are focusing more on who really fits in the fabric rather than who might be good on paper. So that has been
yeah,
a fresh change within hiring as well. Like there have been more empathetical outlook towards leadership. Like we used to have leaders who were more bosses, so to say. It's more like a co-worker which has taken place. Like, there are
yeah,
some people who definitely foster that open door communication, who have 360 degree feedback. So even as the leader, you will be evaluated within the organization. And that is
yeah,
a game changer.
yeah, yeah. Massive, massive, massive. I did a post today actually on the importance of empathy, and it's so important. Empathy you're born with. It's like a survival skill, and it can be trained and developed, and you end up having way better relationships, communication, and things like that. Some of the best leaders I see now are actually some of the most empathetic people, and their view is, what can I do to help my team so they can perform well? And you talk about these startups, right? And a lot of them is like, hey, I've raised like 10 million, 20 million, whatever. Everyone's going to want to come work with us and all of that, and that's not good enough anymore. Like raising money is one thing, hiring people, that's a whole different ball game, and then keeping them when you've hired them is again a whole different ball game. And also, like we're on the front line of recruiting, trying to headhunt people from companies for other jobs. And I don't know about you, but happy people are way harder to move, right?
Absolutely.
They're just way harder to move. If you're happy in a job, super hard to get people out. And a big part of that is who the leader is, what the culture is, meaningful work and all the other things. But it's if you even need a business case for being kind and empathetic to employees, apart from just being a good human being, then like you can have the best strategy and the most and raise lots of money, whatever. But if you haven't got any people, nothing's happening.
Absolutely. I think it completely resonates with me as well. Like leaders are leaders because they lead by example. So if you're setting the ground straight in terms of your leadership and you are hiring people that have the same set of values and principles, have zero tolerance when it comes to favoritism, bullying, or any sorts of uh, toxicity in the culture, then definitely you will foster a positive environment, and no employee would be ready to move out of the organization. Because
Yeah,
I think it's more about the growth prospects within the organization and how the organization treats you creates a sense of belonging, that makes a difference for every employee.
Definitely. Because if you have one toxic person, it could mean everyone else is going to want to leave, right? So it could be the leader, or even if you have a toxic member in the team as well, and they might be the best performer. It's like, would you fire your best cricketer because they were the toxic influence in the dressing room? It's quite hard to, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But it's true, because if no one else is playing well, if they're affecting the environment, the atmosphere, you can see some of the teams with some of the best players don't always do the best if they're not gelling and working together.
Absolutely. You're right. If we are just coaching and mentoring our leaders and not, creating those programs for our employees, it definitely makes a difference, because then again, we are creating a different hierarchy to get altogether. Like, the leader is a leader and you are an employee within the organization. But if we treat each employee like a future leader and invest in that employee, in terms of programs where the expectations are set, where what is happening in the organization, how there is open communication within the team, there is a culture of collaboration and teamwork. So I think that makes a lot of difference in turn.
Definitely. You can be a leader in any level of an organization. I think it's a mindset. Like lead by example, lead by good behavior, by being empathetic, working hard, doing the right things, helping others, being there for people. I think it's definitely in your mind, it's like it's a mindset, and it doesn't matter if you've just entered the workforce or if you've been in the game for 50 years or something. I think it's and people follow people, and people want to work with great people. And so I think it's your behaviors and your actions. It's not a job title. It's not a title. You could be called whatever. But if your behaviors are right, people are going to want to be around you and work with you and work, be there for you. If you're there for people, people generally will be there for you. It gets paid around. How about if you're in a toxic culture right now? What do you do? And so a lot of people we speak with, they're in a toxic environment and they're a bit scared to leave because they're worried about what the interviewer might say if there's a gap on their CV. Well, they've joined and they've been there 2 months, and they know it's bad, right? It was nothing like people said in the interview process. The leader's a nightmare. Literally day one, the leader just slapped a massive to-do list, 10 foot tall on their desk, and was like, right, I want it all done by tomorrow. So what do you say to those people? Now, for me, go on, Anika, go on.
Well, I completely agree with you that there are some situations where a lot of people are right now struggling with a toxic boss or a toxic environment. I think first thing that I would suggest is probably to have an open communication with either your HR or a team member who is maybe your boss, with him directly or her directly. And if that level of communication is still not helping out, and it persistently is happening with you, I think probably the time is to look for an environment which really fosters your own growth.
Yeah, for me, get out. Don't waste your time. I mean, you kind of know after a week or two.
Sure.
Kind of,
Absolutely.
or maybe even in a firm and a new person's come in and they're a nightmare, but life's too short to waste your time in a really bad environment. Now, I know economics is a huge bit, right? So I'm not saying just quit your job and give them back your paycheck and, you got to earn money, support the family, all of those things, right? So we all have responsibilities. So context is important. So what I'm saying is start looking for another job, for sure. Don't waste your time, even if you've only been there a month or two. When you're interviewing for new jobs and they're like, why are you leaving? Be honest. And if they can't appreciate it, cross them off your list of successful companies you want to work for and move on to the next one. There's so many companies, there's like 7 billion people in the world, and you happen to be working with one nasty individual, get out. And then that his or her culture, like toxicity, whatever, spreads in. And you want to find a really cool place to work where people are working like they're there with you, not working against you. Or if you fall down, they're there to pick you up, not wait for you to get up yourself. So there's a lot of really good places like that, and I think start looking, and don't worry about what an interviewer might say. Just be completely honest. And I think also, like, the CV or the resume in America is probably getting less relevant now anyway.
Yeah.
Like these gaps. And I think it's like it's how you craft your story. It's a collection of experiences. I shared a video of Gary Vaynerchuk with you I think over the weekend, and he was doing a talk on his conference, and he was talking about this actually, and he was talking about mums that were looking after their kids and they were out of the workforce for a few years, and just how many wonderful skills they have collected over that time, right? And it's like how you package it, like all these wonderful skills you've learned, craft it as a story, and go advocate for yourself. And again, if people don't appreciate it, their loss. I think that's how you have to think of it now. That's how I think of it.
True. I think I agree with you, because a lot of people are stuck in that environment, and they think that, okay, maybe next year this will change. I might have, a promotion, and I might have a different level in the organization. I'll be more commanding, so to say. I'll have that authority in the organization. So I think this consistently creates a power imbalance within the organization, because everybody is just battling it out. Everybody's waiting for that authoritative position that they'll have eventually in the organization, when again they'll be the toxic boss. So it's a cycle which we have to break and get out
Imagine
of
this,
that
Anika.
environment.
I completely agree. Imagine this, right? You're feeling really, really bad right now. You hate your job. You hate the environment. Now imagine you stay there, and fast forward 2 years. You've wasted 2 years of your life, right? You're 2 years older in a nasty environment. Imagine what that does for your mindset. As positive as you might be, as much meditation and yoga and exercise and positive thinking and whatever else you do, you hate going in. It's just nasty. So I wouldn't waste your life. Like if you're in that environment, just because imagine then you go look for a new job, and you find something, and it's just like, you found the weight off your mind, because you can't do good work either when you're not happy. It's just really hard to. And if you're dreading Monday, it's time to get out. You want to be like, oh no, it's Friday, that means it's the weekend. I'm joking, but like you want to be looking forward, I think, to work, because it's the thing you do most in your life. So I know not everyone finds something that they really, really, really love. I know a lot of people talk about it like we are, and online you see a lot of it. But I certainly think you can strive for it. Like it's something that is good to look for. And everyone deserves to work for in a place that people care about them and that they're there for them, and you have good human connection and stuff, I think.